Welcome to today's video. So today I wanted to talk about where is our focus when we are going through a healing crisis? Where is our attention when we're going through something difficult? And so when we are going through something difficult, it's very hard to focus on things that are positive. We get thrown into this hypnosis, this temporary illusion, and our fixation, our focus is basically distorted and manipulated to only focus on things that aren't going well. And we might receive thoughts that are unworthy, or thoughts that are negative, or jealousy, or grief, anger. We might receive lower frequency thoughts, and that's going to perpetuate and create this cycle of emotion, more thoughts, more thoughts, emotions, and so on and so forth. And so we're going to experience this, and our perception is going to be super altered, especially if we're going through healing. So when we are healing, when things are coming up to the surface, when we are experiencing the shadow come up, sadness, loneliness, whatever it may be, if we are experiencing that, and you will experience these things as you continue to increase your life force and raise your vibration. You will experience these different challenges in life and different down periods. And obviously it will get better and better over time, that you'll have less downs and you'll be more able to handle the downs, more able to let go of the downs when they're there, to not get caught up in them, to not get so identified with the downs, so fixated upon them, and so like in a fight or flight when we're going through the down. So I've shared in many videos that when we are going through the down, it's like being sick. We can do good things, we can do healthy things, but at the same time we also have to be patient, because the sickness will pass, but we cannot just freak out and just want it to pass in a day or two. Sometimes it may. We can do the right things. So say if you're sick, you can do the healthy things. You can take medication, you can eat healthy foods, take ginger and lemon, whatever it may be for you, that your health remedies when you're sick. You can do these things, but at the same time you still need to rest, you still need to wait and be patient. So very much when we're going through a healing crisis, we're going through a downtime, we need to be patient. We need to not attach to it. We need to be patient, be more aware of it. But what also is very, very helpful is, while we are going through this, even if everything around us is really annoying us and just seems like things aren't working out for us, we need to really sharpen our focus. And this is where the practice of meditation can come in, and awareness, to have a sharp, laser-like focus, and to choose, use your choice, your free will, to choose where you place that attention. To step out of that chaotic thoughts and all that stuff. No, I'm not going to listen to you, to let you do your business. Then, I'm going to choose to focus on something that is good. And this is crucial, because we don't want to ignore what we're going through. We want to give what we're going through love and our attention. We want to be there for it. We want to say that it's okay for you to be there. We don't want to allow it to go. So this is different. But if we are always fixating on something wrong, we find ourselves majority of the time in a bit of a negative state, and it seems to be lingering on a little bit longer, then we need to use our focus to focus on the light, to find the crack. Find the little bit of light in that moment. Even if all around you is dark and annoying and chaotic, just find the light. There might be a little crack in the wall. I'm using this metaphor. Find the crack, find the light, which is something positive, something good. Find that and focus on that. Only that. Even if it's so small, find it and focus on it. Like if you were in a prison cell and it was completely dark and everything around you is dirty and greyish and disgusting, and there's just a little gap in the window and you can see the sun and the sky. And you can see the clouds. Just focus on that. Keep your focus there. And by doing this, we're connecting to our light, even though all around us is chaotic, even though our world may be going a bit misery and turmoil, and there's a bit of all this stuff going on, especially, during Mercury retrogrades, or if you're in your moon cycle, or if it's a full moon, or you're just seeing your therapist and you're going through lots of stuff's coming up. Focus on the light. Of course, we don't want to ignore some stuff that's come up. We don't want to ignore that. We need to sit with that. But at the same time, we don't want to fixate on it. Find the light. Even if it's a little bit. If you can keep your focus there. If you can keep your focus, even if it's such a tiny crack, it'll expand, it'll expand, it'll expand, and it'll expand. That little crack will start to become your whole entire awareness. And it'll flip, and then the negative will be that little crack in the corner. And the whole room will be lit up, and it'll be like you're in a beautiful space. And then there's just one little mark on the wall, and that's the negative. And that you're just overwhelmed in everything that's good. So it'll shift with where your focus is at. If your focus is on being in a fight or flight mode, if your focus is on protection and what's wrong, you're going to be like a security guard, and you're just going to be looking for danger, looking for threats, looking for problems, looking for people who are, not good. And this is what a security guard does. And if you're going to be in that security mode, if you're going to be in that egoic mode, your focus and focusing on what's not right, what's unsafe, then you're in that contractive mode. So you don't want to be like a security guard and focusing on all the bad people. You want to focus on the good people. You want to shift your attention and find the light. And so when you're going through a rough, and you may be metaphorically walking through a swamp, and it's dirty and it's disgusting, you don't like it, and you can resist this. You can be walking through and it's muddy, and you got mud all over your body, and it's disgusting, and you're like, there's probably creatures in here, and I just want to get out of here, and you're like rushing to get out of this mud, and you're trying as much as you can to get out, and you resisting that mud is making it worse. Instead of just relaxing, realizing you're in the mud, you're covered in this mud, you're in the swamp, it's dirty. Yeah, there may be things in the water, but just relax. Eventually you will get out of the mud, but by you panicking, being in the water is not going to serve you. It's actually going to make the experience worse. So stay in the mud, walk through it, walk through those emotions. It will pass, but don't resist the fact that you're in the mud. Don't resist the fact that you're in the swamp. And while you're in the swamp, you can tune in. Because even though you're walking through the mud, it's disgusting, you can look up and see, oh wow, beautiful trees around you. It's a beautiful sky. You can hear the birds singing. Focusing on the birds, and the beautiful sound of the birds, the beautiful sight of the trees, the blue sky, the sun shining. And even though you're covered, even though you're in the swamp, metaphorically, and you're going through the mud, you're going through darkness and difficulty, and your life seems chaotic, you can still choose to bring your attention and your focus on what is good, to keep you moving through the mud. And thinking, okay, it's okay, this will pass, I'm dirty for now. The sky is beautiful, the birds are singing, the trees are beautiful, they look great. It's a nice day. I will get out of this mud eventually as you continue to walk through it. And so I use this metaphor because a lot of the time we are in the thick of the mud, we're in the swamps, and life's very challenging and difficult, and we can just be fixating on us being in the prison cell and us being in the swamp. And we forget that there is beauty right here, right now around us. That we do have great things, that we are in a lucky opportunity where we are in our life. We just need to shift our focus. And sometimes, it's hard, but we just need to find the crack of light. Sometimes it may not be as much as the window of light. It may just be a crack in the wall. And you can just see the light and you just choose to stay with the light. Choosing to stay with what's positive in your life. What are you grateful for? What do you already have? What's good in your life? What have you achieved already? To really just stay with that. And if you find that difficult, then stay in the mud, but just know the mud will pass. Stay in the cell, but you know that you will be out of the cell. That experience won't last forever. And this is what we get caught up on. This is what actually prolongs it and makes it worse, is when we resist us going through that experience. When we don't accept it. So accept, you're in the mud, you're going through it rough, but the birds are beautiful. The sky's nice. The trees look stunning. It's all right. I'll get out of this mud. I'll get out, and then when I get out, it's this liberation. When you get out, it's this growth, this transformation of you getting out. And then when you get out, you're covered. You have this covering of experience that no one else can go through because you went through the thick of the mud. You went through that experience. So you have that covering of that experience that has shaped you, that's given you this wisdom, that has given you this deeper understanding of being in the mud, being in the thick of the swamp. That only through going through the experience itself can you understand it fully. Can you teach others how to get through the swamp? Can you teach others that they will get through the swamp, that they will eventually make it as well? That it's okay to be in the swamp. It's only for a period of time. And so when we get out of the swamp and we have this experience, these battle scars, we can bring that forward and we can help others into this world. And then we can shower off all that mud and we can be clean, and we can notice, wow, how amazing it feels to be clean, to be out of the swamp, to know that contrast and that shift. It can be amazing to have that experience. If you're going through that and then you come out of it and you're like, oh wow, everything's amazing. Like, I know that for me, I used to take so much things for granted. And a lot of my life, was very anxiety driven. So I couldn't do basic things that most people in Western culture take for granted, like driving a car, going out to dinner, going to a shopping center on my own. Just basic things. Going to the cinemas. I used to have panic attacks with all of those things. Constant anxiety. My experience would be, just distasteful and annoying. And it wasn't until that experience shifted for me and I metaphorically came out of the mud with that experience, and I had that contrast. I was like, oh wow, I'm out to dinner. And I was like so happy just being out to dinner and not being anxious. I was so happy being able to drive my car without freaking out, without being overly ungrounded. I was able to go and watch a movie and not freak out and think I'm going to have to run home. So it made those experiences 100 times better because of that, me metaphorically being in the thick of the mud. Because of me having anxiety in those experiences. And when the anxiety shifted, I was like, oh wow, this is amazing. And to every normal person, it's just normal. They weren't really like in that much joy of the experience. They weren't like, wow, this is amazing, like me. Because they never experienced the anxiety. They never experienced the thick of the mud. They never went through the swamps of that experience. So they don't know that what they're experiencing is freaking amazing. It's like coming out of the swamp and you see someone who hasn't been in the swamp, and I'm like, yes, I'm out. It's like escaping prison or being out of prison. And you're like, yes, this is amazing. What a beautiful day. I have so much space around me. I have freedom. And someone who hasn't experienced that prison, hasn't been locked up or hasn't gone through the thick of the mud, they're just like, yeah, it's just a normal day. Yeah. They have all of this availability, but they don't appreciate it because they don't know the contrast. It hasn't been stripped away. And this is where, if you go to third world countries, it can be great insights to realize how good we have it in Western society. It's great to go camping, or great to even more to go overnight hiking, where you rough it up, where you haven't got your car next to you, you haven't got like the comfiest beds, you haven't got like your tables and your big gas cookers. You only can take a little bit of food, you have to carry your water, you have to carry everything with you, and you need to filter water, you need to start your own fire, you need to do all these things, and you haven't got the most comfortable sleeping scenario. If you run out of food, you might have to forage for food, or you have to walk all the way back to town. So it's good to rough it up. It's good to go through the thick of the mud to experience the contrast, to experience that liberation on the other end. When we come out of that mud, it's like so liberating. It's such a hero's journey. So enjoy. If you are going through a rough time, know that it's serving you for a reason, and it's giving you an experience so that you can learn, so that you can grow, so that you can actually connect more deeper to your spiritual nature, to your true nature. That being in that thick of the mud can actually help you to surrender your ego. And if it wasn't for that experience, you would not surrender. You would not take that catalyst moment where you just say, I've had enough, I'm going to meditate, I've had enough, I'm going to disconnect from the outside world and go within. So it's those experiences that hold true gold. And I've given you some techniques. Obviously, focus on the light if you're going through it. Find the crack. Focus on the beauty, even if you're walking through the thick of it. And knowing that it will pass. So no resistance to what you're experiencing. Having full acceptance. And of course, try not to judge it too much either. It will pass. You will get out of it. And when you do get out of it, it's going to teach you the massive contrast of what's on the other end. That liberation, that freedom. That journey. So the choice to choose. Where is your focus? Stay on the light and know that what you're experiencing has a greater intelligence behind it, that it's leading to your greatest possible benefit. That whatever you're experiencing, you're becoming a master in the contrast. You're going to become more grateful and more appreciative of the opposite spectrum. So for me, I experienced a lot of anxiety, a ridiculous amount of anxiety, constant anxiety in basic scenarios. So I became super masterful in being calm and very grateful to be calm in those basic situations. I enjoy those situations 100 times more now because I never enjoyed them as much years ago. So just like being in prison, when you break out of prison, it's amazing, it's liberating, when you are set free, but it's only in the lockup that you can see and fully appreciate the freedom. That it's actually the same. The imprisonment and the freedom are one, and they exist with each other. The anxiety and the calm are one, and they exist with each other. They are opposites of the same energy frequency. So, hope you enjoyed today's video. And if you're going through the thick of the mud, honor it, that it's going to be a great blessing in disguise that you may not be able to see right now, but it will be something very special on the other end when you come out through that liberation. So peace, have a good day.